Yeah, back again. 1 2 1 2. Check microphone. Check. Check the microphone. Wreck. What's up, YouTube? We back up in the building. I know last stream was short. Had to go, but this time I'm back. Sexless marriages exist more than you think, because they do. These women are playing a cold-hearted game. Do not underestimate these women's abilities to cut a nigga off. They will code switch and you'll be fucked. And we're going to listen to exactly what these people had to say, right?
I think they get real frustrated where guys are like, I'll get to it tomorrow. And I think the women just...
What's your age?
32.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a divorce lawyer.
As a divorce lawyer, would you say that divorces are initiated most by men or by women?
Women, 90% of the time.
Why is that the case?
I think that they yap with their friends, and I think they get real frustrated where guys are like, I'll get to it tomorrow. And I think the women just get in their heads and they're like, all right, I'm done.
So it's the women who are sabotaging their own relationships?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it is that they're getting with their girlfriends, they're angry, they just get frustrated, and they have a lot of people in their ears. And I think they just when they're done, they're done.
But surely, as a woman, you shouldn't tolerate any and everything in a relationship.
Definitely not at all, but I feel like things build up really easily with people, and they're talking about it more, where you're like pissed off and you get kind of over it quickly.
But how long have you been a divorce attorney?
Probably since 2016 I've been practicing, and then 2017 officially barred.
So being that you've been in the field for 8+ years, do you think that marriage is outdated now?
Outdated, but it's a more acceptable to get divorced, right? Because we're seeing it a lot more. It's not taboo, so it's changed.
Do you think that sexless marriages can work?
No, and 100%. Every single time, I mostly work for men, so every single time they're in a consult with me, I'm always hearing, I haven't had sex in 10 years, I haven't had sex in 5 years, I haven't had sex in 15 years, and I'm like, here we go again. The sex talk every single time. So it's you need to make sure you're doing it 3 to 5. I would say 3, 2. Sometimes you want to go 2 times.
Damn. These men are saying they haven't had sex in 5 to 10 years. Oh, hell no. I'm fucked up after a week. Bitch, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we gonna get to the bottom of it. After a week, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Who is you having sex with other than me? Who is you going around with other than me that you don't want to have sex with me? I mean, what's really be going on? That would definitely ruin my ego. That would definitely create chaos, because now I'm thinking she got to be fucking somebody else. I'm thinking she got to be, got to be seeing somebody else. It would just create an insecure environment. And yeah, I'll have to leave. There's no way I can do it. Or I let her know that, hey, I'm going to go give me a piece of ass somewhere else.
2 to 3, but it really should be 4. 2 to 4 times is ideal.
So a lack of sex in these marriages is the most common theme that you're seeing when they end.
Yeah, because it's connected to more of that. It's not just physical. It's all right, well, if you're not into someone and you're disgusted by them and you're pissed off at them, you're not going to be having sex with them, right? Because you're going to be unattracted to them, you're going to be irritated, and you're not going to be into them. So you're not going to be paying them.
So why do you think people stay in these relationships for so long?
I think they stay in it just because it's comfortable and it's easy and it's really hard. This is marriage is a breakup on steroids. Like if you're gonna get a divorce, it's not just like I'm moving my shit out, bye-bye. It's like if there's kids involved, forget about it. It's like your whole life is upended. It's a major decision. Your family's affected, your life is affected. Half your crap is gone. So it's a little bit tougher than with just a simple breakup.
When a couple goes through a divorce, what's the process typically entail?
Someone has to fight. First and foremost, someone's gonna.
This is why I say you'd be a fool to marry. Right? Co-parenting is the way to go, baby. Why would you marry and then take the risk of a major catastrophe when you can keep everything simple? You know what I mean? Women are having kids. They don't need to be married to have kids. They want kids. They having kids. They ain't care. You know what I mean? Just trying to negotiate a fair, fair deal so that, everybody can be happy. But you'd be fooled and married. It's just not worth it. There's no value in marriage no more. How does it value the men? And how does it value the women? Women can get money without men. Men can have kids and family without having a wife. It's really that simple. We don't need each other in the way we used to need each other. We need each other differently now. Now we can be, in a relationship or a situationship and a couple of agreement, let's have kids and raise them in a co-parenting fashion. That way we don't have to go through all the paperwork. We're already on the ball. Because get married and the divorcing is going backwards, right? You're going backwards now. That's just a tough pill to swallow.
File. So you got to fill out the paperwork, file it with the court, and then you've got to serve someone or they have to sign something saying they've gotten it. So either you have a random stranger who's hired by a service, or you have someone that go and hand them the paperwork, which is always awkward. Or you can tell them, hey, I'm going to divorce you and you're going to sign this document saying you've received this, which is always awkward.
So wait, they don't send a sheriff out to serve them, or?
You can't, some people will do that where you can get a constable, but it's not a sheriff. If there's a restraining order, you can get a sheriff to do it.
Okay.
That's a whole nother.
So they sign that. Then what happens?
Then in California, they've got 30 days to file a response. In Massachusetts, where I'm also barred, they can just respond. So someone has to respond to it and say, all right, yeah, I want a divorce too. And this is what I want to do. And it's a simple paperwork.
So party A agrees for the divorce, and so does party B. Does that mean that they're officially divorced and that's fun, or?
No, I wish. It'd make things a lot easier, but no, you got to go through this whole rigmarole more. All right, well, what do you have? Show me your paperwork for the past. Show me your bank accounts. Show me your credit card statements. Show me everything. I want to see what your financial assets are. So you got to break it down each person, which causes problems, right? Because someone's on OnlyFans, you're seeing it in their bank account. Because unlike, Ashley Madison, they used to hide it as American Bank. OnlyFans just says straight up OnlyFans. They have no shame with their billing. So you start seeing these kind of charges and you go, all right, well, we need to do more. I got to look into this. What else have you done? Have you gone to hotels? I want to see more bank statements. Take me back 5 years.
And so this can expose more infidelity in a relationship.
Yeah, and problems. So it's all right, now you're doing a deep dive and now you're starting to snoop through stuff and you've got some problems.
Okay. But after that process is done with the financial assets and looking at that, is it just the man had... So after that part's done, is it the man has made $100K and the girl makes $50K, so the girl gets $25 from the man, or what?
No. Then you're going to be looking at a whole complicated state-by-state calculation of all right, how long were you married? Who paid what? Who's doing what? Who can earn what? Like, so now you're looking at all the potential of that, and you're going to get a crazy calculation. And if you're married for a decent amount of time, you're going to get some spousal support. If you're like, say the guy's paying all the bills, woman's at home, the guy's going to pay up. He's going to be paying a good amount, and it's going to be for, in California, if it's less than 10 years, he'll be paying half the length of the marriage. Massachusetts, you go, you know, it goes to 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. It doesn't go, it's more regulated, but just depends.
Being a divorce lawyer for 8 years, are you for prenups or are you against them?
Prenups are amazing. I'm a big fan of prenups. When some of my friends get married, instead of giving them a blender, I give them a prenup because it's a lot more useful, and I just do it for free and set it up. And I know the relationships, you know what to put in there. And it's great. So prenups, and you have a roadmap, basically of what you're going to do. You can save like 50K on average if you have a prenup, like easily, because you already say you divide this, do that. And you can put future stuff in there. So vacation home. Okay, I have no vacation home right now, but you put in the prenup and you can divide your vacation home, or say you have a business, divide your business a certain way. You do certain things.
But if prenups are so simple, why are so many women against it?
Because they want as much as they can get, obviously. I mean, you're not going to go to someone and say, hey, you want half my, can I give you half the amount you're supposed to get? Who would take that deal? Not many people. So it's not a very appealing thing. It's like going to someone who's ordering a sandwich and said, let me give you half the sandwich. Who's going to eat that sandwich? You want the full sandwich.
And what's the biggest misconception you've noticed when it comes on to divorces?
I don't think they're as taboo as they need to be. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's so bad, and it's like ruins your whole life. It doesn't. I think like there's a lot of times where people find their second loves, and that seems to be really amazing, and they seem so much more happier and balanced. So it shouldn't be as taboo, and that's a misconception.
Have you ever had to represent a client over multiple marriages?
Yeah, and every single time I'm like, don't do it, man, don't do it. Can you get a prenup? Can you do something? And I have like multiple clients that are like, all right, here we go again. I just tell them don't do it, and they just do it. And I'm like, all right, see you soon.
Are you single?
No, I'm married.
How long have you been married?
Around 5 years.
So how does your job make you view your relationship with him?
Just like more, you're looking out a little bit more. You're like, all right, I need to maybe work on things a little bit more. You see stuff that's alarming. And when you're dating as a divorce lawyer, it gets a little crazy, right? Because you're like, all right, let me see how he is angry. Let me see how he is when he's sad. Let me make sure I go through a major event before I commit. Let me see how it is living with this person. So you have to be more aware.
So would you say that mentally it still puts a strain on your relationship, or it's just as easy as like working at a 9 to 5?
What is it with the strain? I think it makes it stronger because you know what not to do. Basically, you're like, all right, if I do this, this might be a problem, because you see so many guys complain about like, my wife didn't do this, my wife didn't do that, and that bothered me. So I make sure not to do those things.
This is why you can't marry these men. These men are in sexless marriages at a large scale. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't be in no sexless man. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. She'd be divorcing me because I'm fucking everything. Somebody's going to supplement her. You ain't going to deprive me with your duty to do. Yeah, I ain't going to do that. No way. Ain't no way I'm going to be coming home and I can't get no coochie. That is, it'll be every day, but damn.
Quits, or do you call it quits, or do you just suffer, probably like your dad did, or do you, start over with somebody? I'm in my early 40s. Married over a decade. We have kids, a home, a quote, good life by most people's standards. But I'm dying inside. My marriage has been sexless for years now, maybe once every few months. And even then, it feels obligatory. There's no passion, no desire, just duty. I have tried everything. I have had the talks. I've suggested therapy. I've read the books. I've worked on myself. I got in shape. I became a better dad. I tried to be more romantic, more helpful, all of it. Her response is, quote, "It's not about you. I'm just tired. I'm stressed. I have too much on my mind." But somehow she finds the energy for everything and everyone else, her job, her friends, the kids, Instagram, just not me. I feel like a ghost in my own home, like I'm tolerated, not loved, like I'm just there to pay the bills and take out the trash. It's emasculating. I miss being touched. I miss being wanted. I miss feeling like a man. And here's the kicker. I don't think she sees a problem. As long as the kids are fed and the mortgage is paid, she thinks we're doing great. So now I'm stuck asking myself, do I blow up my family just because I'm starving for intimacy? Do I settle for being a roommate until the kids are grown? Or do I keep hoping that somehow one day she will want me again? I don't know what the hell to do. I just know that I can't keep living like this. Ouch, Mr. Mark. Your message, very well written. Thank you so very much for submitting it and for sharing, being vulnerable with your issues. I know that's not easy for a lot of guys, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Your message is one that I hear all the time, some version of it anyway, which is the guy saying that the passion is gone, the connection is gone. I've tried everything. I don't know what else to do here, dude. Here's the issue, and I'm going to super simplify this. This may be a short one. You know what to do. And what you do is you go to wife and you have what we call the old healthy version of the talk. Let's start with what the unhealthy version of the talk is. The unhealthy version is one of, do you not love me? What's going on? Is it something I did? Do you hate me? Why don't you give me the love and affection that I so badly need? Don't you realize that this is what couples are supposed to do? Damn it, and cry and sob and everything else. And everybody cries and you go your separate ways and nothing ever gets accomplished. The good, healthy version of the talk is one that comes from a place of strength, care, love, all that good stuff. You are trying to be what we call a good steward of the relationship. You're a guy who looks out for the family, for you and her as a couple. Somebody has to play that part. Ideally, both of you do. Ideally, both of you do proactive things to keep the marriage, the romance, connection, and everything else going. But when one drops, the other one steps up and says, I got it, and vice versa. So that's what you're doing in this case, which is you're saying, wife, we both know that the dynamic between us is frankly weird, unhealthy, and cannot continue. Sorry. To ignore it is not accomplishing anything. I'm just getting more and more miserable, and you're probably not happy and fulfilled either. And frankly, if you are happy and fulfilled with the status quo, that's not good. Not because your opinion doesn't matter, but because that means we are so wildly mismatched in that way. I, as a healthy, sexual, romantic, emotional dude, need a connection to my partner. I value the hugs. I value the kisses. Yes, the sex is a big part of it, sure. But we're just not connected in any way, shape, or form. And you've seen me try like hell to get us reconnected with each other. I've tried the date nights and the counseling, and you just keep saying, no, 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 no. You don't want anything to do with me. And any secure, sane man would say, this cannot continue. So that's what I'm saying to you. This wife cannot continue. Are you telling me, wife, you're willing to lose me and lose our family and set an example? This is key for a lot of women. Set an example for the kids of yet another dysfunctional, broken family out there. Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to work with me to reconnect and make a good example for our children so they can see how healthy parents react to a very unhealthy disconnection? Which is it, wife? Door A or door B? Which do you choose? Here's the thing. That sounds great. Makes sense. Sounds strong. But it's very difficult to do. And the reason it is difficult to do, well, there's a lot of anxiety and other things involved. You know, a lot of men don't want to hurt feelings. A lot of men are afraid of what they may hear back. A lot of men are afraid of the fact that they're going to hear back from their wife a big, okay, where's the divorce papers? I'll sign now. And it's like, shit, that's not where I wanted that to go. But that's a very real possibility. Another probably more realistic possibility is a lot of drama, crying, anger, shaming, everything else. You're going to drop our family for sex. You're going to drop our family just because I won't kiss you, just because blah, blah, blah. My parents never did anything like that. They've been together for 60 plus years. This is what's wrong with society today, and on and on and on. A lot of men don't want to deal with that, or they've heard some semblance of that, and they usually crawl away with their tail between their legs and just forget it ever happened, and they brush it under the rug until another year or two later where they blow up all over again. But this needs to be the defining moment. This needs to be, we're not going to brush under the rug anymore. This needs to be, you listen to all of her drama and you just nod and go, I hear you. I understand. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that this is my go, no go moment here. What are we going to do, wife? Ball's in your court. I can only do so much as one person. And you have to stick to that. And that is tough. And that may very well mean the disintegration of your family. Yes, your marriage, all that good stuff. Such is life, dude. Sometimes making the right decision results in a whole bunch of chaos and a whole bunch of awfulness, but it's still the right thing to do. You've laid it all out. What are your choices? Continue to sweep this under the rug until you say the kids are grown out of the house and you're going to be you don't give the ages of your kids so many years older, so many years that you've missed out on a good quality romantic life with somebody. If you're thinking that time will help heal the libido issue in your wife, just put that to bed. No, it will not. She's not going to magically on her own one day go, holy shit, what have I been doing all this time? Let's get to bed, husband. No, that never, ever happens. She has to be the one to raise her hand saying, I got a problem here when it comes to this maintaining a relationship with the person long-term. I'm not very good at it. I need some help. Let me go talk to somebody. And some people are going to be screaming in the comments, hormones and hormonal therapy and everything else. That's not for everybody. Maybe she's up for that. Probably not, if she's like most women out there. But there are a whole slew of things to help fix this issue, which is usually a pretty complicated issue. It's more than what's on the surface usually. But she has to be the one to say, I'm willing to get that help. Let's do this. And so far she has said, F you, dude. Not good. Big talk time, big final talk time. Do it, dude. It's time. All right? And if you want to reach out to me, we can put together a plan for exactly how to do that. I've even spoken to men and women both in a call. You know, the woman's like, who the hell's telling you all this bullshit? Let's go talk to him. Talk to me. I don't care. Put it out there. Right? I am not a therapist. I'm just a dude who has done this for many, many years and have talked to hundreds, if not thousands of men at this point, one-on-one. And a guy who's been there and done that. What you're going through is not fun, but it's a crossroad moment in life. And they're always fraught with all kinds of stress, anxiety, drama, and everything else. But you will get through this. You may need a little help yourself. I would suggest talking to me one-on-one. But before you do all that, I would suggest joining the Brotherhood, which is our support community for men only. Learn more at helpformen.com. Go right to the join page at helpformen.com/join. Big support community with hundreds of men from all over the world. Discussion forums, live Zoom meetings. We get together in person, all my books at no charge. And that coaching, that one-on-one coaching with me is way cheaper if you are a member than if you are not. So it's cheaper to join up the Brotherhood, then get coaching, than to just get the coaching by itself, believe it or not. So I look forward to meeting you. Thank you so very much for your submission. I appreciate it. And guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
Damn. Instagram got your bitch. This is a serious sip out here, boy.
If you're a woman and you're married to a generally good man, a kind, loving and devoted husband, but sex has been off the menu for some time without consultation with or willing consent from him, then this video is for you. It's not intended to shame or judge, only to educate and hopefully inspire a new conversation and perhaps a new era in your marriage. There are obviously very good reasons why sex might have to take a back seat in certain situations, but over the long term, there are, of course, consequences which I believe many good women and otherwise loving wives simply aren't aware of. So this is a very short crash course about the physical and emotional effects a sexless marriage has on men, and it's a plea for compassion and a call to action to the wives they're married to, because a deeply fulfilled and healthy man is a truly tremendous thing and a great source of strength in the world. Hi, I'm Laura and I'm a counsellor in the UK. If you're new to the channel, welcome. It's lovely to have you. Here are the 10 most common effects a low sex or sexless marriage can have on men. If your husband is exhibiting any of these symptoms, then please consider starting a sex-positive conversation with him. Number 1, loneliness and isolation. Without the intimate connection and bonding that sex facilitates, a man in a sexless marriage will eventually experience significant feelings of isolation and loneliness. For most men, sex is a key component of emotional intimacy, and its absence can create a sense of almost total disconnection between him and his wife. Number 2, low self-esteem and confidence. For most men, the primary way in which they feel loved, appreciated, and accepted is through sexual connection. Thus, sexual rejection is often interpreted by men as a fundamental rejection of their very nature as individuals. This rejection can and often does lead to feelings of low self-worth, which will ultimately impact their confidence in every other area of their lives. Number 3, shame. If a man's natural and normal need for sexual connection is dismissed, ignored, minimized, or ridiculed, it can cause deep feelings of personal shame. He might begin to believe that a core part of what makes him the man he is somehow depraved, childish, unacceptable, and therefore that he himself is fundamentally unlovable. Number 4, reduced trust and respect. It's hard for men to reconcile loving words or marital vows with an absence of what they consider loving actions, and thus men in sexless marriages often lose faith in their marriage and trust in their wives. As a result, they may begin to seriously question whether their wives love or value them at all. Once his trust in her begins to diminish, so too will his respect for her begin to decline. Number 5, resentment and irritability. When a man feels deprived of sexual intimacy by the only person he can be sexually intimate with, he will begin to feel trapped and frustrated. Over time, this frustration can lead to anger and resentment towards his wife, and his general demeanor might deteriorate into an almost perpetual state of irritability and listlessness. Number 6, mental health problems. Many studies have shown that the development of depression and anxiety are common in men who have been in sexually unsatisfying marriages for an extended period. These problems obviously contribute to much lower marital satisfaction, which inevitably further compounds any existing depression or anxiety. Number 7, physical health problems. A lack of sexual activity in marriage has been linked to a multitude of physical health problems, particularly in older men. These include digestion problems, increased risk of cancer, coronary heart disease, stroke, lower self-rated health, and a weakened immune system. The perpetual stress, frustration, and feelings of isolation that a sexless marriage inflicts on a man has significant and measurable effects on his long-term physical health outcomes. Number 8, learned helplessness. If a man starts to believe he has no control over his circumstances and no ability to escape his situation, then he may enter a depressive psychological state known as learned helplessness. This is a state that develops due to repeated exposure to negative situations in which he feels he has no control over the outcome. Eventually, he'll stop trying to change the situation even when opportunities for change become apparent. It's a state of complete hopelessness and defeat, which can trigger a cascade of further psychological disturbances, such as a lack of motivation, passivity, negativity, and reduced capacity to face challenges. Number 9, emotional withdrawal and dissociation. If learned helplessness has been established, then a natural coping mechanism will be emotional withdrawal and perhaps even dissociation. Dissociation is a state in which individuals feel detached from their thoughts, feelings, and sometimes even physical sensations. If a man's reality is too painful to tolerate, he will essentially check out. A dissociated or withdrawn husband will probably carry out his duties and meet his responsibilities, but he'll do so without being present or fully engaged on an emotional or spiritual level. He will likely appear distant, disinterested, and unemotional. Number 10, addiction. As Johann Hari succinctly put it, addiction is the opposite of connection. He argues that addiction isn't primarily about the pleasurable effects of the substances, but rather about an inability to connect with others. In other words, addiction might be a way to cope with a lack of meaningful connection. I've heard this from so many men in sexless marriages, that they feel like their only escape from the pain or monotony of their existence is to seek solace in their addictions, whether it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, work, gaming, or porn. It's a desperate attempt to find pleasure where genuine connection is absent. I understand that's a difficult list to digest, and you might even struggle to believe that problems of this severity can be attributed to a lack of sex. Men's needs aren't exactly something that our culture is keen to acknowledge, let alone discuss openly and empathically. But the research on the consequences of a sexless marriage is clear and conclusive. If you want to read the studies yourself, then they're all referenced on my blog, which I've linked to in the description. If you need more evidence, then just ask your husband, who is, after all, the greatest authority on what his authentic emotional needs are. I'm sure it would mean a lot to him for you to even approach the subject with interest and an open heart. A common misconception women have about men's sexual desire is that it's nothing more than a biological urge for release, and thus it wouldn't be too unreasonable to insist men take care of themselves when the need arises. What's the big deal, right? Well, a loving husband's need for sexual connection with his wife is as valid as her need to feel seen, appreciated, and valued. Just swap the word sex for human connection and it might all begin to make more sense. So too will the very real and severe consequences of its absence. Sex, whether women want to believe it or not, is at the heart of man's life force. Take the sex, destroy the man, and diminish his glorious masculine energy. End of story. Now, there are obviously many valid reasons a sexually healthy and able wife might choose to withdraw sexually in the long term from a particular type of husband. Abusive, coercive, disloyal, disinterested men. Entitled husbands who expect their wives to satisfy them sexually whilst refusing to engage in any other form of intimacy or emotional connection. But again, those aren't the men I'm talking about in this video. I'm talking about the good men whose wives have simply decided over time that sex was no longer going to be a feature in their marriage, not due to any extenuating physical or emotional circumstances, just because they no longer feel spontaneous desire like they used to. In many cases, there's not even a discussion, just an unspoken declaration. Don't mention it, don't complain about it, don't neglect her needs, and don't even think about looking elsewhere. Rock meet hard place. And this isn't as fringe a demographic as you might think. I see this dynamic play out all the time, both in my practice and in first-hand observations of many couples I know personally. Good, honest, devoted husbands, attentive fathers, hard-working, sensitive, and generous men who are abandoned on the sidelines of their marriages to quite literally wither and die over decades of misery, frustration, and despair. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's not fair to demand monogamy and withhold sex from a good man without good reason. The punishment must fit the crime, and in the case of sexual withholding, the crime must be severe. No healthy man would sign up for a marriage if he thought at some point it would mean no sex, or for that matter, sporadic or apathetic sex with a side helping of resentment. Monogamy, after all, means sex with one, not sex with none. Furthermore, it means engaged, loving, tender, and enjoyable sex with that chosen one, and that means for the duration of the relationship. When sex dies, so does the marriage, and to a greater or lesser degree, so does the man. He might not leave and he might not even complain, but to him, the marriage he signed up for no longer exists. The potentially endlessly hard-working, loving, attentive, and generous man turns off, zones out, and gives up. Over time, a wall is built between these couples. He adds a brick every time she says no. She adds a couple more when the date nights become less frequent, and then 5 more because he's irritable. He adds an entire row because now it's been 6 months. Eventually, they can't even see each other anymore. A co-created hellscape of misery, disconnect, and mistrust has been erected. It's up to both of you to dismantle this wall, of course, but when a wife takes the initiative to resurrect the sexual connection in her marriage, in whatever new form this takes, she can kick an enormous section down, literally overnight. And you can bet he'll be just as keen to dismantle the rest once he's reassured that the woman he married is back in his life. I know that's easier said than done, especially if you haven't had any sexual contact in a long time. Relearning to be vulnerable in this way can be extremely difficult for many women, so it might take some courage and will take some time. As a first step, just commit to starting a conversation. Tell your husband you've come to understand how important a sexual connection with you is, that you see how a lack of sexual connection has hurt him, and that you're going to make an effort to change. If you find discussing the topic stressful, then let him know it's difficult for you. Ask for patience and understanding so that you can move at a pace that's realistic and reasonable, but assure him that you're willing to do the work with his support. A good husband will gladly do his own work alongside you to make the process feel safe, loving, and above all else, mutually fulfilling. What's often needed is a total mindset change, a shift away from resisting sexuality and a move towards embracing it. This is much easier once we understand that sex is a profoundly healthy and important aspect of our lives, something that improves our well-being and therefore something we need to become positive about and work towards. If you're not in this place, then you have work to do, but let me assure you from personal experience, it absolutely will be worth the effort. You might have to deal with your unresolved trauma or your relationship with your own sexuality. You might have to examine your relationship with men if your feelings about them are less than healthy. You might have to work out how to approach sex positively in the absence of youthful, spontaneous desire. You might have to redefine what sex looks like if you've been through menopause or some other life event that has shut you down sexually. You might have to rearrange your life in some way so that your turn-offs are minimized and your turn-ons are nurtured. I don't know about you ladies, but I want my husband to thrive. I want him to be firing on all cylinders. I like it when he's upbeat, flirty, singing, cracking jokes and getting shit done. I love it when he looks healthy and potent and strong. I worked out some time ago that in order for this to be the case, I needed to take the very best of care of him that I can. And that means being available for sex and plenty of it. It means sex that I am fully into and sincerely willing to engage in. Enjoyable, satisfying, and genuine. We're still very much in the middle of our sexual journey together, and I can happily tell you it's still an ongoing adventure. We continue to learn more about ourselves and each other in this way every day. Sex for us has been incredibly healing and transformative, and I don't like to think of how flat and fraught with tension our married life might have become without it. As a side note, I find myself asking what kind of impact on the world does it have when so many men are starving sexually? God only knows. One thing I do know is that I don't want to be personally contributing to this widespread epidemic of poor health and misery in our men. So, take a leap of faith, ladies. If you're married to a good man, then make a concerted effort to show him he's loved and valued in the exact way he needs to feel loved and valued. Become a sexually generous wife. I promise you won't regret it. There'll be more emotional connection, more playfulness, more dates, more laughter, more health, and much, much less conflict and frustration for either of you in no time. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you did, then you might also enjoy this one where I discuss how to increase female libido. Please leave a comment to let me know what you think and consider subscribing if you enjoy these kinds of conversations. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, to yourself and to others. Tell the truth.
Hey, Meacham, it's Anissa. Today, I want to talk about a sexless marriage and the implications of that. The questions that I hope to answer are: how often should me and my spouse realistically be having sex? Is sex denial selfish, hormonal, or normal? Is it emotional abuse to deny your spouse sex? Can refusal to have sex in marriage rise to the level of sexual immorality that justifies divorce? And have you seen couples recover from this? The three things that I'm going to highlight today are unbiblical, abusive, and open doors. Before we dig in, I want to talk a little bit about my own story with my husband, Charles. So Charles and I got married in 2004, and over time, our sex life has had different seasons. We have had times where we were having sex multiple times a day, certainly multiple times a week, keeping it fresh and fancy and fun. And then we went through a season, a long season, in which I was not satisfying my husband sexually. And he came to me and he told me that he was not satisfied with the frequency in which we were having sex. He was not satisfied with the energy I was bringing to our intimacy and the effort that I was bringing to our intimacy. And these issues went on between us, I would say, for a little over 10 years, maybe upwards toward 13 years. And we've been married 19 years. So that is pretty much more than half of our marriage. I would say my husband was not completely satisfied. And I will put this disclaimer out there for my own situation. It was not because he wasn't treating me well. It wasn't because we didn't have a good friendship or we didn't spend time together. It really had nothing to do with anything that he was doing or not doing. After some deep reflection and counsel, and quite honestly, some checking from an older woman, I realized that I simply had to change my attitude about sex. You know, I grew up not learning about sex really at all, outside of TV, friends, and experimentation. And I did not have a view that sex was also for me and not just for a man. I think, you know, the way sex is marketed, at least back in the day, it was very easy to form a view or a position that you're really, as a woman, you don't really enjoy sex, or sex is what you do to keep a man, to get a man. It's just a part of your duty. So I had to change that attitude. I had to also take a look at where I was investing my time and my energy. One of our biggest arguments was Charles pointing out to me that I will get up at 4 a.m. 5 days a week and work out, but yet we were only having sex once a week. Not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable. We are 100% in a better place with everything he had concern.
Boy, that is quite a situation there.
About frequency, energy, effort, all of that. And it's because I had to put in the work. I had to check myself. I had to check my attitude. There were probably some external factors, I would say. Again, nothing on his part, and I'm just being completely honest about that. But I've had stressful jobs in the past, things that deplete my energy, that suck life out of me. And all of that definitely impacted my drive by the time I would be home. I also have a very, very regular sleep rhythm. And so at about 8:30, 9 p.m., my brain and my body are like, it is time for bed. And so I'll talk a little bit more about how Charles and I were able to calibrate and align so that he could.
My woman ever try something on me, man. Oh, I get it. I get it. You know, I just don't think that. I think that the women are just, they just don't feel the need. They're just turned off. Instagram got your bitch. These women, man, they're code switching. Sex is a very big part of any relationship, whether married or not married. Sex is a big part, very big part. So to cut off that source, that was like putting the marriage in a coffin. There's no way that we could continue on. Like, that's why they code switch. Don't do it.